The warning came through the subspace communication array at exactly 0800 hours, ship time. Captain Kim Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the priority signal flashed red across every screen on the bridge of the research vessel. Horizon's Edge. All vessels, all species, all exploration fleets. The mechanical voice of the Galactic Council translator began, by unanimous decree of the 12 Species Council. The region designated as Veil Nebula Sector 7 Alpha is hereby declared absolutely forbidden to all galactic traffic. No vessels of any kind may enter this zone. Chief Engineer Park Min-soo looked up from his console, raising an eyebrow. That's new. The Council doesn't usually ban entire sectors. The transmission continued without pause. 3 separate expeditions have entered this region over the past 2 standard years. All contact was lost within 48 hours of entry. No survivors, no wreckage, no signals of any kind have been recovered. The Council has determined this region contains unknown hostile forces that pose an extinction-level threat to all known life forms. Dr. Lee So-young, the ship's lead scientist, frowned at her data screens. She had been studying the Veil Nebula for months, and the energy readings she detected didn't match anything dangerous in their databases. If anything, the region looked remarkably stable for such a young stellar formation. Effective immediately, the Council message went on. Any vessel detected entering the Forbidden Zone will be considered compromised by hostile forces and will be destroyed on sight by Council enforcement fleets. No rescue attempts will be made. No exceptions will be granted. The safety of the galaxy depends on absolute compliance with this directive. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Horizon's Edge in uncomfortable silence. Captain Kim set down his coffee cup and looked at the swirling purple clouds of the nebula visible through their main viewport. They had been conducting surveys at the edge of this region for 3 weeks, gathering data for the human government back on Earth. "Sir," said Lieutenant Commander Choi Hyun-woo from the tactical station, "we're receiving follow-up orders from Earth Command. They want us to acknowledge the Council directive and return to mapped space immediately." Kim nodded slowly, but didn't give the order to change course. Instead, he stood up and walked to the main display showing their current position. They were less than 2 light hours from the nebula's outer boundary, so close to something that had captured his curiosity for months. "Captain." Navigation Officer Han Jimin waited for instructions, her hands hovering over the course controls. "What do we actually know about these 3 lost expeditions?" Kim asked, turning to Dr. Lee. She pulled up her files quickly. The first was a Centauri mining survey ship, crew of 47. They were looking for rare metals in the nebula's outer systems. The second was a joint expedition between the Altarian Republic and the Vegan Trade Union. Scientific mission, crew of 62. The third ... She paused, checking her data. The third was actually a Council enforcement vessel, military-grade crew of over 200. Park Min-soo whistled softly. "A Council military ship. Those things are built to survive anything. That's what makes this so strange," Dr. Lee continued. "Council ships have the best shields, the most advanced sensors, and enough firepower to level a small moon. If something in that nebula could destroy a Council warship without even leaving debris, then maybe it didn't destroy them," Kim said, quietly. The bridge crew turned to look at their captain. Communications Officer Yoon Soo-jin spoke up first. "Sir, what do you mean?" Kim walked back to his chair, but didn't sit down. "Think about it. 3 ships, different species, different purposes, all disappear completely. No wreckage, no distress signals, no trace. What if they didn't get destroyed? What if they found something the Council doesn't want anyone else to know about?" Choi shook his head. "Captain, that's a serious accusation. The Council has maintained galactic peace for over 400 years. They WOULDN, single quotes T, ... Wouldn't what?" Kim interrupted. "Wouldn't protect their interests. wouldn't keep dangerous technology away from younger species like us. He gestured toward the nebula. Look at the timing. 3 expeditions in 2 years. That's not random exploration. That's systematic investigation of something specific. Dr. Lee was running new calculations on her computer. Captain, I've been analyzing the energy signatures we've detected from the nebula. They're not random stellar phenomena. There's a pattern, almost like— She paused, running the data through different filters, like some kind of artificial field. Artificial how? Park asked. I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's some kind of cloaking technology. Something designed to hide what's actually inside the nebula. Han looked nervous. Sir, if Dr. Lee is right, and there is something hidden in there, maybe the Council is trying to protect us from it. Kim smiled grimly. Or maybe they're trying to protect it from us. The captain walked to the viewport and stared out at the swirling purple mists of the Veil Nebula. Earth was 67 light-years behind them. The nearest Council enforcement fleet was at least 4 days away. His crew of 12 humans had volunteered for this mission, specifically because they wanted to explore unknown regions of space. The galaxy's most powerful alliance had just declared an entire sector off-limit. They claimed it was too dangerous for any species to investigate. But Kim had spent enough time around politicians and bureaucrats to know what fear looked like when it was dressed up as concern. Mr. Han, he said finally, plot a course for the nebula. Best speed, sir. Han's voice was uncertain. Kim turned back to his crew. The Council says it's forbidden. I say we find out why. The Horizon's Edge crossed into the Forbidden Zone 3 hours after Captain Kim gave the order. The moment they passed the nebula's outer boundary, everything changed. Captain, our sensors are going crazy. Dr. Lee called out from her science station the energy readings I was tracking from outside. They're 10 times stronger in here, but they're not chaotic. They're following specific patterns. Park Min-soo looked up from his engineering console with confusion written across his face. Sir, this doesn't make sense. Our shields should be taking a beating from all this energy, but they're barely registering any impact. It's like the nebula is ... ignoring us. The purple mists that had looked random and dangerous from a distance began to thin as they moved deeper into the Forbidden Zone. Through the swirling clouds, strange shapes started to become visible. Massive geometric structures that definitely weren't natural stellar formations. What am I looking at? Kim asked, staring at the main display. I think it's some kind of grid system, Dr. Lee replied, her voice filled with excitement. Captain, these aren't just energy patterns. They're being generated by artificial structures. Huge ones. Navigation Officer Han checked her instruments twice before speaking. Sir, I'm reading clear space ahead. The nebula field is ending. That's impossible, Lieutenant Commander Choi said from Tactical. Our long-range scans showed the nebula extending for at least 12 light-years in every direction. Not anymore, Han replied. We're about to break through into normal space. What emerged before them made the entire crew fall silent. Instead of the cosmic graveyard the Council had described, they found themselves looking at one of the most beautiful sights any of them had ever seen. A young star system with 7 planets orbiting a bright, yellow sun. 3 of the worlds were clearly habitable, with blue oceans and green continents visible even from their current distance. My God, whispered Communications Officer Yoon. It's like a hidden paradise. Dr. Lee was working frantically at her station, analyzing the readings streaming in from their sensors. Captain, these planets, the mineral compositions are incredible. I'm detecting rare elements that could revolutionize our technology. Crystallized energy sources, superconducting metals, organic compounds we've never seen before. Any signs of life? Kim asked. Abundant life, sir. The 3 habitable worlds are showing massive biodiversity, but no signs of advanced civilization on the planets themselves. Park Min-soo was studying his engineering displays, with growing amazement. "Captain, if even half of what our sensors are showing is accurate, these worlds contain enough resources to supply the entire human fleet for centuries, maybe longer." Kim walked to the viewport and stared at the hidden star system. So the Council declared this place forbidden because it's dangerous, or because it's valuable? Choi ran his tactical scans and turned to the captain with a grim expression. "Sir, I'm detecting debris from multiple vessels, different ship designs, different metals. I think we found our 3 missing expeditions. Any survivors?" Kim asked. "Immediately. Unknown, but Captain, ... Choi paused, checking his instruments again. "I'm reading a large artificial structure on the 4th planet. It's definitely not from any of the missing ships. The construction style matches Council architecture." Dr. Lee looked up from her analysis with sudden understanding in her eyes. "Captain, I think I know why the Council really declared this place forbidden. If younger species like humanity gained access to resources like these, we wouldn't need to depend on Council trade routes anymore. We wouldn't need their technology or their permission to explore. We'd be competition instead of customers," Park added grimly. Kim studied the readings on his command display. The 3 missing expeditions hadn't been destroyed by some unknown hostile force. They had been captured. The Council had built a facility here, probably a prison, to hold anyone who discovered their secret. "Sir," Han said quietly, "Earth Command is expecting regular reports. When we don't check in, they'll assume we're lost, like the others." "Not if we move fast," Kim replied. He turned to address his entire crew. "Here's what we're going to do. Dr. Lee, I want detailed scans of everything in this system. Every planet, every resource, every piece of technology we can identify. Park, see if you can figure out how that cloaking field works. If we can understand it, maybe we can use it." "In the Council facility?" Choi asked. Kim's expression hardened. "We're going to pay it a visit. If there are survivors from those expeditions, we're bringing them home." Yoon looked worried. "Captain, this is a Council black site. They won't just let us walk in and rescue their prisoners." "You're right," Kim agreed. "They won't let us, but I don't remember asking for their permission." As the horizon's edge began moving toward the 4th planet, Dr. Lee made another discovery. "Captain, that cloaking field around the nebula, it's not Council technology. The energy patterns are completely different. I think it's much older." "How much older?" Kim asked. "Possibly millions of years. This technology predates every known civilization in the galaxy." Park looked up from his engineering station with excitement. "Sir, if Dr. Lee is right, we might be looking at precursor technology. Artifacts from a race that vanished before any current species evolved." Kim smiled for the first time since entering the Forbidden Zone. The Council hadn't just been hiding valuable resources. They had been hoarding ancient technology that could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy. "Well then," he said, "I guess we better make sure the right people get their hands on it." The Council facility looked like a fortress carved into the side of a mountain. Captain Kim led a team of 6 down to the planet's surface while the horizon's edge stayed hidden behind one of the smaller moons. The air was thin but breathable, and the gravity was slightly lighter than Earth normal. 37 life signs inside, Dr. Lee reported, checking her scanner as they approached the massive metal doors. "Multiple species. They're all in what look like holding cells. Chief, Engineer Park had been working on the facility's electronic systems for 20 minutes. These locks are designed to keep people in, not out," he said with satisfaction, as the doors slid open with a soft hiss. Council security always was more about control than protection. The inside of the prison was exactly what Kim had expected from a Council black site. Long corridors lined with energy barriers that served as cell doors. The prisoners inside looked up with surprise and hope as the human team walked past. Some were clearly from the 3 missing expeditions, but others had been there much longer. Humans, called out a tall reptilian creature that Kim recognized as Kethdor species. How did you get past the patrol fleet? What patrol fleet? Kim asked, stopping at the alien's cell. The council maintains permanent guards at the nebula entrance, the prisoner explained. No one gets in or out without their permission. That's how they've kept this place secret for so long. Dr. Lee looked confused. We didn't see any patrol ships, just the energy field. Impossible, said another prisoner, this one from the aquatic Murhai species. We've been monitoring their communications for months. The guards report back to council headquarters every few days. Lieutenant Commander Choi was scanning the facility's security systems. Captain, I'm reading the access codes for all these. Cells want me to start freeing people. Do it, Kim ordered. All of them. As the energy barriers flickered off, prisoners began emerging from their cells. Kim counted representatives from 7 different species, all looking weak but determined. The first to reach them was a human woman in a torn exploration suit. Captain Sarah Bennett, Earth Survey Ship Pioneer, she said, saluting despite her condition. We've been here for 8 months. We never heard about a ship called the Pioneer, Kim replied. Because the council intercepted our final transmission, Bennett explained. They made it look like we just vanished. Same thing they did to the others. An elderly member of the Vacti species stepped forward. Captain, you need to understand what's really happening here. The council isn't just hiding resources. They're maintaining artificial scarcity throughout the galaxy. What do you mean? Kim asked. A Murhai captain who had been imprisoned for over a year spoke up. The council controls which species get access to advanced materials and technology. They keep younger civilizations dependent on their trade networks while they hoard the best resources for themselves. Dr. Lee was scanning the facility with her instruments. Captain, I'm detecting massive data storage systems deeper in the complex. If they've been doing this for years, they'll have records of everything, Kim finished. Park, can you access? Their computers. Park grinned. Already working on it, sir. Council encryption is tough, but they didn't expect anyone to get inside their facility. As the freed prisoners gathered in the main corridor, Kim learned the full scope of what they were dealing with. The Veil Nebula wasn't the only hidden resource site. The council had been suppressing discoveries across the galaxy for decades, imprisoning anyone who found evidence of their deception. The worst part, said Captain Bennett, is that some of the council member species don't even know. It's just the leadership of a few powerful races that are controlling everything. Park called out from a computer terminal. Captain, you need to see this. I've accessed their main database. The information here, it's incredible. Kim walked over to look at the displays Park had activated. File after file of suppressed discoveries, hidden resource sites, and imprisoned exploration teams. But what caught his attention was a section labeled Precursor Technology Research. They've been studying the ancient technology for over 50 years, Park explained. The energy field around the nebula, the cloaking systems, advanced manufacturing techniques. They've reversed pieces of it, but they can't make it work properly. Dr. Lee joined them at the terminal. Why not? Because it requires specific neural patterns to interface with, Park read from the files. The council species can activate basic functions, but the technology won't fully respond to them. What kind of neural patterns? Kim asked. Park scrolled through more data before his eyes widened in surprise. Captain, according to this research, the precursor technology responds best to human brain activity. The freed prisoners looked at each other in amazement. Captain Bennett stepped forward. Are you saying this ancient technology was designed for species like humans? Or species that think like humans? Dr. Lee said thoughtfully. Adaptable, creative, willing to take risks. Choi's communicator crackled with a transmission from the horizon's edge. Captain, we have a problem. Council ships are entering the nebula. Big ones. Kim looked around at the 37 freed prisoners. In the massive amount of evidence they had discovered, the Council's secret was out, but now they had to survive long enough to share it with the galaxy. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Maybe 6 hours at their current speed." Kim turned to Park. "That precursor technology the Council has been studying. Can we use it?" Park was already downloading files from the facility's computers. "Give me 2 hours with this data and access to our ship's systems. I think I can make it work." Kim smiled grimly. "Then it's time to show the Council what humans can do when we're properly motivated." Admiral Krivak arrived at the Vale Nebula with 47 warships, expecting to find a single human research vessel that had somehow slipped past their security. What his sensors detected instead made him question whether his instruments were working properly. The nebula's cloaking field was completely gone. The hidden star system was visible to anyone with basic sensors. Worse, there were human ships everywhere, not just the original research vessel, but at least a dozen others that seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. "How many vessels are we detecting?" Krivak demanded from his flagship's command center. His tactical officer looked confused as he checked his readings again. "Admiral, it's difficult to get an accurate count. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. But I'm reading at least 15 ships, with more appearing every hour." On the bridge of the horizon's edge, Captain Kim watched the Council fleet approach through sensors that now worked better than anything Earth had ever built. Park's integration of the precursor technology had been successful beyond their wildest hopes. The ancient systems hadn't just enhanced their ship, they had taught the humans how to build new ones. "The freed prisoners are all aboard the new vessels," reported Dr. Lee. "Representatives from 7 species, all ready to fight for their freedom." "Incoming transmission from the Council fleet," Communications Officer Yoon announced. "Put it through." Admiral Krivak's image appeared on the main screen. His 4 arms were spread wide in what Kim recognized as an aggressive display among his species. "Human vessel, you have committed an act of war against the Galactic Council. Surrender immediately, or face total destruction." Kim remained calm as he responded, "Admiral Krivaki, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. We haven't committed any acts of war. We've simply been exploring space that the Council claimed was empty and dangerous. You have violated a direct prohibition and interfered with Council security operations," Krivak snarled. "You will surrender your vessels and submit to detention." "I'm afraid that won't be happening," Kim replied. "But I do have something that might interest you." Without waiting for permission, Dr. Lee transmitted the evidence they had gathered from the prison facility, files showing decades of resource hoarding, suppressed discoveries, and imprisoned exploration crews were broadcast not just to Krivak's fleet, but to every inhabited system within 50 light-years. The data package included detailed records of how the Council leadership had been maintaining artificial scarcity to keep other species dependent on their trade networks. Proof that the dangerous regions they declared off-limits were actually rich resource sites they wanted to keep for themselves. Krivak's expression changed from anger to panic as he realized what had just been transmitted across the galaxy. "You have no idea what you've done," he said. "The Council maintains order. Without our guidance, the galaxy will fall into chaos. Or maybe," Kim replied, "species will finally be free to reach their full potential without being held back by your fear." The Admiral cut the transmission and immediately ordered his fleet to attack positions. What followed was unlike any battle the Council had ever fought. The human ships moved with precision and coordination that seemed impossible for such a young species. Their weapons were more powerful than expected. Their shields held against attacks that should have destroyed them, and their tactical awareness was beyond anything in Council experience. "How are they predicting our attack patterns?" Krivak demanded, as another of his cruisers took heavy damage from human weapons. "Admiral," his tactical officer replied with confusion, "it's as if they know our battle procedures better than we do. What Krivak didn't know was that the freed prisoners included military officers from 6 different species. They had spent months studying council tactics while imprisoned, combined with human adaptability and ancient precursor technology that enhanced their strategic thinking. The result was devastating for the council fleet. Captain Kim watched the battle from his command chair, but he wasn't focused on the fighting. The real victory was happening across the galaxy as the transmitted evidence reached other star systems. His communications officer was monitoring dozens of frequencies. Captain Yoon reported, "We're receiving messages from all over the sector. 3 council member species have declared independence. 17 colonial systems are demanding new trade agreements, and there are reports of uprisings on at least a dozen worlds." The precursor technology wasn't just helping them win the battle, it was helping them coordinate with species across the galaxy, who had been waiting for someone to challenge the Council's control. By the time the fighting ended, half of Krivak's fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were retreating toward Council space, but Kim knew the real damage had already been done. The secret was out. He opened a final transmission to the fleeing admiral. "Tell your council that the Veil Nebula is now under the protection of the Free Worlds Coalition. Any species seeking freedom from council oppression is welcome here." Dr. Lee looked up from her station with excitement. "Captain, we're receiving applications to join the coalition from over 40 different systems. They want protection from council retaliation." Kim smiled as he watched more ships arriving in the system, not human vessels, but craft from a dozen different species who had learned about the hidden resources and wanted their share of freedom. "Then I guess we better get ready to welcome them all," he said. "It looks like we're about to become the center of a new kind of galactic government." The council had tried to keep everyone dependent on their system. Instead, they had created exactly what they feared most: a united coalition, a free species with access to the resources and technology needed to challenge their control. 6 months after the battle at the Veil Nebula, Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood in the observation lounge of Freedom Station, the massive space platform that now served as the heart of the Free Worlds Coalition. Through the reinforced windows, he watched ships from 43 different species docking at the station's ports. The sight never failed to amaze him. "The morning reports, Admiral," said Captain Park Min-soo, who now served as the Coalition's Chief of Technology Development. He handed Kim a data tablet showing the latest updates from across their territory. 22 more systems declared independence from the Council this week. 5 Council member species have requested to join us. Dr. Lee So-young approached from her laboratory wing, where she had been working with scientists from a dozen different worlds. "The precursor technology research is moving faster than we ever imagined," she reported with excitement. "The Vakti engineers have learned to integrate it with their bioships. The Murhai are using it to create underwater cities for refugee populations, and the Kethter have developed new mining techniques that can extract rare elements without damaging planets." Kim nodded as he reviewed the reports. What had started as a simple human exploration mission had become the largest independence movement in galactic history. The Council's attempt to hide the truth about resource scarcity had backfired completely. Instead of maintaining their control, they had sparked revolutions across dozens of star systems. "Any response from Earth?" Kim asked. Lieutenant Commander Choi Ho-yan-woo, who now coordinated defense for the entire coalition, smiled as he joined the group. Earth Command finally sent their official reply yesterday. When the Council tried to pressure them into ordering us home, Earth's government told them that humans don't take orders from bullies. "More diplomatically than that, I hope," Kim said, with amusement. "Only slightly," Choi replied. A soft chime indicated an incoming priority message. The holographic display activated to show Captain Yoon Soo-jin, who now commanded one of the Coalition's deep space exploration fleets. Her ship was investigating star systems beyond the galaxy's outer rim. "Admiral, we've made contact with another hidden civilization," she reported. The Thalaxi have been hiding from the Council for over 2 centuries. They have technology that could revolutionize space travel, but they were afraid to reveal themselves until they heard about the coalition. Kim looked out at the busy space station around him. Representatives from dozens of species worked together in laboratories, command centers, and diplomatic offices. The atmosphere was completely different from the rigid hierarchy of the old council system. Here, cooperation was based on mutual benefit rather than fear and dependence. Captain Yoon, transmit our standard welcome package and coordinate with Dr. Lee's first contact team, Kim ordered. Make sure they understand that joining the coalition is completely voluntary. As the transmission ended, Navigation Officer Han Jimin approached with a fleet status report. She now directed coalition ship movements across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Admiral, the next exploration mission is ready to launch. They're requesting permission to investigate the Andromeda Bridge region. Kim studied the star charts on her tablet. The region she indicated was completely unexplored territory, far beyond anything the Council had ever mapped. How many ships? 15. Vessels, crews from 8 different species. They're especially excited about the possibility of finding more precursor sites. Permission granted, Kim said. And Han, make sure they remember what we've learned about working together. The coalition had discovered that the ancient precursor technology responded best to diverse crews. Ships with mixed species teams could access functions that single-species crews couldn't. It was as if the long-vanished race had designed their technology to reward cooperation between different kinds of minds. Dr. Lee pulled up her latest research data. Admiral, we've made another breakthrough. The precursor sites we've discovered aren't random. They form a pattern across the galaxy, like markers pointing toward something in the galactic center. Any idea what? Kim asked. Not yet, but the energy readings suggest something massive. Possibly an entire precursor city or research facility. As they discussed the implications, Kim reflected on how much had changed. The Council still controlled about half the galaxy, but their grip was weakening every day. More species were choosing independence, and the Coalition's policy of sharing resources and technology was proving far more attractive than the Council's system of artificial scarcity. A group of young officers from various species passed by the observation lounge, talking excitedly about their upcoming assignments. Kim noticed they switched easily between different languages, shared information freely, and seemed genuinely excited about working together. It was exactly the kind of future he had hoped for when they first entered the Forbidden Zone. Admiral, Choi said, checking his communications device. We're receiving a formal request from the Altarian Republic. They want to leave the Council and join us, but they're worried about retaliation. Kim smiled. Tell them the Coalition protects its members. If the Council wants to threaten new democracies, they'll have to go through us first. As the day continued, with reports of new discoveries, new members, and new possibilities, Kim stood at the observation window, watching ships arrive and depart. The galaxy had told humanity that certain regions were forbidden, that younger species needed guidance from their elders, and that the current system was the only way to maintain peace. Humanity had responded by proving that cooperation worked better than control, that sharing resources created more prosperity than hoarding them, and that freedom was worth fighting for. The Council had declared the Veil Nebula forbidden. Humans had called it home, and from that home, they were building a galaxy where no species would ever again be told they weren't ready for the stars.